Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me Anshika, and in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title already, I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 IB tips. Like, these are things I wish somebody would have told me when I was starting off IB in year 1. And as most of you guys know, I recently got my results for the May 2022 exams. I got them on 6th July and I scored 44 points out of 45. And actually I filmed my reaction to that, and that video will be linked in the description. If you haven't watched that already, then do check it out. So without further ado, let me get into these tips. Another thing that I want to say right here, that these aren't like subject specific tips that only work for the subjects that I took. These are kind of tips which work for most subjects in IB, and not only IB. I feel like these are tips which will lead to success no matter what curriculum you do. Because the first thing that I think everybody who goes into IB should know is, what is your motivation? Like, what is the reason you want to score well? And it shouldn't be something like, oh, I just want to score well to like impress my friends or to get bragging rights or something like that. I mean, if you get bragging rights, that's a bonus, right? But that shouldn't be the only thing that's motivating you to do your best in IB. If you don't know why you're doing IB, you're going to spend a majority of your time just cursing at IB and wondering why you didn't choose something simpler. So in such situations, if you really deep down know why you started doing IB, why you chose IB, then that is something that will help with the situation and help you get in the correct mindset. So like for me, it was primarily two reasons. First one being that I genuinely liked the subjects that I was studying. All of the subjects were like of my choice, none of them were filler subjects, so to say. And secondly, after a certain point in year 2, it became about scoring the best possible marks so I could get into my dream university. Tip number 2 is something that is really important, especially towards the middle of year 1, because that's when IB starts getting a bit more hectic. Schedule free time. You literally need to make a calendar with free time scheduled in it. That's what I used to do. If I had some class, if I had a physics class, then psychology class, then lunch, I would literally put like 1 hour an event in my Google Calendar saying free time or me time or anything else that I was doing. I would say going to meet a friend or something like that. So whatever it is, put it on your calendar, because that is something which makes your brain think that this is something which is equally important as the other things, because it is. You should not think that, oh, this is something that I do when I'm done with everything else. No, regardless of how much work you get done, everybody deserves like an hour or two of free time every day. So definitely schedule in free time and allow yourself to have like relaxing days to cope with burnout, because trust me, I didn't do this enough going into year 2, and then by the time I finished my EE and everything, I was so burnt out that it took me like a month to recover from the burnout and get into the grind of doing my work and getting college applications out and all that. And a fair warning that also goes with this tip is that don't overdo your free time also. Like, if you finished writing one essay, like a 300-word essay, you don't need an entire day off or like an entire weekend off to deal with that. So schedule things appropriately. So for example, for me, when we finished our first pre-boards, me and all my friends from the hostel, we all went island hopping for an entire day, because finishing pre-boards was a big task. We'd been giving exams for 15 days, so we needed an entire day of being on the beach and being on islands and being on like a boat and whatever to deal with that. But on other days when I would just be in my normal routine of like school and stuff, I would just go out for dinner on Sundays, or I would go randomly get a McFlurry for myself from McDonald's. So tiny things like that, or just watch a movie Saturday night with my roommate. So that's the kind of small things that you should schedule in. And these are also, I feel like, random little things that you can look forward to other than just deadlines. Tip number 3, and this is something which is so important, is to be consistent. So I will be making like separate videos for subject wise study tips and all, but this is something that applies no matter what subject you're studying, and I think no matter what curriculum you're studying also. I personally was taking like external classes from tutors for maths, physics and chemistry. Initially it was just maths, but then I added physics and chemistry as well. So that is something that helped keep me on track, because no matter what other commitments I had that day, I knew I had like a class with my tutor, so that 1.5 hour I would have to sit and study that subject every day or every other day. I know it's not like always feasible to do daily revisions of everything, because especially in IB you have 6 subjects, So I would suggest personally what I used to do was try to do weekly revisions. So Saturday, Sunday, 2 days off that I'd study all the 6 subjects, whatever we would have done in class for that entire week. I'd revise all of it on Saturday, Sunday, and make sure all my notes were complete on like the weekends. I completed all my notes and I didn't have any backlogs. Avoid a lot of sleepless nights. Be consistent. Trust me, the minute I started like being consistent and doing things every day, this is something I've tried to do since I was in like class 10th, I think. My life became a lot easier, and till date I have never had to stay up past like 1:30, 2 a.m. in the night to finish any work, whether it was class 10 boards, whether it was class 12 boards. Your work will all get finished on time and you will have time to go out during exams. Even while my final board exams for IB were going on, I had to get my booster dose of vaccine, which knocked me out for 2 days straight, and I had to pack and stuff because I was leaving the hospital in another 1 week. My roommate was leaving earlier, so she was doing her packing, but still I managed to be on track and like score high marks just because I was being consistent the entire 2 years. Okay, so I got tired of sitting, and this brings us to tip number 4: start early. Now trust me, if you're in junior year or if you've just started senior year, you are gonna most probably be underestimating just how fast and stressful IB can get. If like me, you apply to as many places as I did, and if you haven't seen that video, that too will be in the description. It does take up a big chunk of your time. Like took an entire month to finish because this draft is a personal statement. You have to sit and finish like the co-curricular list, and you have to put a resume, and it's so if you want to put your best foot forward in all that while also being like on your best game in your academics in IB, then start early. This will also give you time to ask teachers for feedbacks on like drafts of IAs and on your EE. Personally, this helped me a lot because I did 2 maths IAs. I wasn't very satisfied with my first one, so I did a second one just because I had started so early that I had the time, and like the IA grades are reflecting the effort that I put into the second one. Okay, so for some reference, ideally your IAs and your EE first draft, and this is all about first drafts, should be done around August, September. Like September is when you should aspire to finish the first drafts of all your IAs as well as your EE. Okay, so tip number 5: make your own mini deadlines. So if you start early, as I said in the previous tip, you'll obviously want to keep some deadlines for yourself. That's the best way to keep yourself on track, right? For example, if your school requires you to submit your first draft of say a physics IA on hypothetically 15 September, you should keep your deadline before the school. So keep your personal deadline for finishing your draft on say 1st September, right? And then you're gonna want to keep like 15th August as a deadline for, you know, maybe finishing halfway or, you know, finishing certain elements of it. And then you're gonna keep another 1 week deadline for finishing some other elements of it. Then you're gonna keep, you know, the final deadline for touching it up and adding the images and the graphs and everything. So that's the kind of small deadline you should set for each task. Okay, so tip number 6: make CAS fun. CAS stands for Creativity, Activity and Service, and it is one of the core components of IB that every student needs to finish to graduate. So you know you're gonna have to do it anyway, so might as well do CAS in something which is fun for you. So, you know, something that you used to do already before you started IB. So like for me, I was always an equestrian. When IB started, I used like my equestrianism as one of my CAS activities in the action part of it. And another pro tip here for you guys is that your CAS is basically counted from May of the year you start IB to May of your graduating year. So for me, it was from May 2020 to May 2022. So from May 2020 to like when I went to school, which was like in December, because of the scholarship I got delayed. So I was at home, but still a lot of the things that I did at home during the summer still counted for IB. So in that summer between 10th and 11th grade, if you're going into IB, do things which can count for CAS and are also fun, so that you'll already have met a lot of your requirements and you don't need to do stuff when you're actually in IB, and by year 2 your CAS requirements are met and done. And make sure you write reflections weekly or at least fortnightly, so it's like when you've done something like in the past week or 2 weeks, you remember all the things that, you know, you learned from it. If you do that same thing like 2 months later, you're probably not going to remember a lot of the things, and you're probably going to have a hard time searching for photographs and certificates and stuff as evidences. Coming to tip number 7, take every single test seriously. If you apply all the tips that I've said, like till tip number 6 before this, you will be very prepared by the time like your exams, whether it's semester exams or whether it's like mocks, whatever exam you have in school, by the time they come around, you'll be very prepared and like very sorted basically, and you'll have a lot of time to like revise for these exams and all. So this is the thing which I think a lot of people didn't do in like my friend circle as well, and their results are reflecting like the lack of like not doing this. Take every test, every exam, no matter how small it is, seriously. If your teacher schedules like test type thing for even 2-3 chapters, take it seriously. Prepare those 2-3 chapters to the best of your abilities with the time that you are given, and like try your best to do well on that test, because trust me, when your actual mocks and like pre-boards as we call them come around, you will have firstly boosted your confidence by doing well in these tests, and trust me, you will start doing well progressively as you move from year 1 to year 2. Progressively your performance will get better. By the time pre-boards roll around, you will have a lot of confidence in these subjects and a lot of familiarity with the content. It won't feel like you're just opening the thing for the first time and you're like, what is this, when did I study this? And these small exams will help you do well on the bigger tests. Okay, so some of you guys must be wondering why the outfit change, and it's because I'm going out tonight, so I got dressed already because I don't want to be late. So coming to tip number 8, consult your teachers and ask for resources. I feel like this is something that a lot of people forget by the time they come to high school, is to make good relationships with your teachers. And I get that you can't have a good relationship with every teacher. Like out of my 6 subject teachers, I only had good relationships with 4 of them. But with the other 2 still, it was like I knew I could always go to them if I needed something, and they always knew that I wasn't wasting their time. I would only come to them after I had tried whatever I could from my end, and then I would go to them. So you should definitely take the time to book an appointment or a consultation with your teachers, and discuss questions with them, clear doubts with them, because remember, they are there to help you. Like that's literally their job. They're not there to be against you. So do that and ask them for resources, especially for TOK and EE. You're gonna wanna talk to your teachers well in advance. Okay, so tip number 9, have a planner or a calendar. And this is so important. Like no matter if you're in school or in uni or what you're doing, please just have a planner or a calendar, whether it's like a digital planner or like I used to use Google Calendar, or whether it's like a physical journal, a bullet journal, whatever it is. Just have like a place where you can write all of your deadlines. As I said before, you're gonna wanna have your own mini deadlines. You're gonna have school deadlines, exams, and this and that. So you're gonna need to have a place to organize all of that so that you don't miss out these deadlines, or you don't forget about them long enough that you have to submit subpar work. So very important, have a planner or a calendar and make sure it's updated. Like every weekend, just sit down and note down from your emails or whatever what all you have upcoming for the next week at least. Okay, so for the last one, tip number 10, find the right people and stick with them. And I know people say that this is like important for life in general, you should surround yourself with the right kind of people, but I think it becomes that much more important when you're doing something as stressful as IB. And even if you're doing like CBSE or ICSE or something else, I think it's very important that you surround yourself with the kind of people who are going to motivate you, first that, and who are focused on the same thing as you. So even if they're not exactly the most supportive people, there should be people who are like focused on school. If you're focused on school, they should be focused on school too. Or if like you're into doing some type of class activity more, like if you're a person who likes volunteering, surround yourself with people who also like volunteering, so that even if you compete with each other and don't necessarily like support each other all the time, I don't think that's a bad thing to be surrounded with people who are competitive and who are trying to get the same thing as you are. And also another tip, if like me, all my classes had different people in them, for every class, find those 3-4 people whom you can rely on in case you like miss a lesson, or in case you just need some help catching up, or you don't understand what the teacher is saying, you forgot to note down the homework, the deadlines, anything like that. Find those 3-4 good people who are always willing to help, and remember, you have to help them back in return as well. You can't be gatekeeping your notes and things and asking other people for their notes. That's not how it works. it's a give and take process, my friend. That was pretty much it for this video, and I hope you guys liked it. Do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for another video. Also update, I am now trying to upload twice a week instead of once a week. We shall see how that works out.